Recording, I believe. Audio and video good, guys? Okay, good morning. This is Simon with ToughTrader.com doing the market preview for 7/26/2018. Let's call this the day after Facebook implosion. So quick legal notice there. Past performance is not indicative of future results, right? This is for educational purposes only. I'm sharing my trade plan with you in hopes that it makes you a better trader, okay? But trading with derivatives has substantial risk. You can lose a lot of money. Slow down. Know what you are doing, right? Take it one step at a time, okay? And learn the process thoroughly, right? This should be you should have losses in your process, but you should have a lot of wins as well, okay? It should not all be one-sided, and it should not be an emotional roller coaster every day. It should be an odds thing and an understanding of what your best setups are and what your worst setups are. So with that being said, please don't follow me blindly. Take what you like, leave the rest, and move along. So let's get rid of this. There we go. Now that we've done that fun part, let me get the recording going for the day for this. Now that I don't have to do that other part here. Save. Okay, back to videos and record. Now I have the PA recorded for the day. There we go. Okay, so let's get started. Number one, Facebook. If you consume what's going on, right? You know, Facebook and the NASDAQ got clobbered ugly at the end of the day yesterday. There's just no two ways to put it. So this is what NASDAQ looked like at the end of the day. That closed down at 74.71. We are currently trading at, if I can pull up my domes, 74.13. So we went from all the way up here, right, which was roughly 75.30 to 74.71 to 74.13. That's 100. Let's just call it 75.30 to 74.13. It's only 130 NQ points. Let's get perspective on what's going on here. Okay, so I'm going to right-click, copy this, right-click, paste this. Okay, before everyone drinks it's short juice, right? We're going to erase all the lines. And we are going to put it on a big freaking time frame. Here, we'll go to 60 minutes. Okay, explain to me what looks bearish about that one bar. And then so I've heard from several people, so I feel like I need to clarify this, right? So this is pretty straightforward stuff, right? We have, in the history of the NASDAQ, we've had this, right? Which I'll grant you was an ugly day, right? But notice they pushed one time underneath and it launched to the upside. In between there's been a spate of ugly days. One here, there was one that you would have thought was pretty ugly right there, right? None of these ended. None of these ended the NASDAQ. None of these sent the market spiraling, okay? And even when it got ugly for a couple of days, so let's say this is the gap down right here. Notice that we went down, we gapped down, we had a nasty trend day down. That was it. Like if you bought at the low of this day or you bought at the close of this day, look what happened just a few days later. We made that run from 7K to 7,500. That was July 3rd, okay, roughly, or June 28th. This means nothing. So let's start getting some perspective on this, on when the NASDAQ might be in trouble, okay? Outside of a one-day wonder, we take our swing low. It's because this is all about perspective. Notice the S&P barely went down, right? So look at, where's the 50-60? Okay, this is simple, technical, emotional balance. Keep your head on straight, right? There's your 50-60 back, 72.49 to 71.83. You think there might be some buyers there? Because let me show you what happened the last time everyone started screaming, the sky is falling. Okay, here's the last time everyone started screaming that the sky is falling, right? We take a very simple tool that's available to every person on the face of the earth. You take your last swing low, you go to your next swing high, it's squeezed right behind the 62 retrace all the way down to the 74. If you took it from the true swing low, which was all the way back over here, right, in April, and you took it to the swing high, right? This is April. This is still this year, right? The 50-60 never even got tagged, right? So the point is everyone who got bearish in here and said, oh my God, the sky is falling, and started looking for pure shorts, they had 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 days of celebration. And if they continued shorting, they got bone crushed all the way through and all the way up, right? On a consistent basis. So why you'd want to participate in that, there's nothing wrong with participating in the short side. There is a problem with going, oh my gosh, it's short. The last time we had a major, let's call it butt kicking in NASDAQ, this is what it looked like, right? So I want you to notice a couple of things there, just so everyone can get perspective yet again, okay? Remember, this is an hourly chart. Okay. First, I want you to notice how many days down was it? This, quote, down day starts on February 2nd, where we closed on the low, right? So let's just mark them off as we go through so we can get perspective. Let's just go ahead and count that as short day one. And if you'd been shorting up to that point, you've been having a pretty hard time. But let's go ahead and count it as day one, day two, day three, day four. Now notice on day four, 1, 2, 3 days down. And if you were short on this day, Lord help you, you got in pain. Day 5, day 6, and day 7. After 7 days, if you continue to short, do you imagine your P&L looked very pretty? I don't. I'd prefer to be, I'm fine with being flexible and taking the short side of the trade through here. But if I had to choose between balancing on the long side and focusing on getting my longs paying for me, this is again going back to the process of how do I grow my account massively. This is psychologically addictive. This is like cocaine right here because it's so powerful and everyone looks and goes, wow, look how much money I could have made in 7 days. The problem is, just like any addiction, you then spend the next 2 months trying to figure out where the hell to get short, and you don't get your next fix, and it's temporary till really right over here. That's the next time you get a nasty flush, and even that came on a nasty rip roaring up. You got another little fix right here, right? Because the rest of the time on down days, with rare exception, you got 1 or 2 little hits, and then they were reversing it back to the upside and grinding the daylights out of you. And that's why shorts have such a hard time. The fixes are temporary, and you'd be better off learning how to avoid it and control your long side losses, right? And everyone knows I love to short, right? But I'm explaining for the bigger picture, your fixes are short term. Yes, they look quick and awesome, but the majority of the time, this thing spends its time grinding up. Secondly, you have Facebook going against Amazon. Amazon has its web services. Forget about the retail side of the business. Its web services is dominating. Okay, if you read the IT stuff over and over and over again, everyone's trying to keep with Amazon. Now, if they miss on their web services, it will be trashed. But every analyst out there knows that they are probably kicking ass on their web services. And my guess is this: you get a push down early in the morning, and they will short squeeze this thing on everyone who's banking on Facebook as being some kind of industry leader for technology, and they're going to get the daylight squeezed out of them. That's my guess. Okay, I'm not trading NASDAQ today. I'm trading ES. And then the last piece, ES is down 5 points. Think about the last couple of weeks. Look at what ES has been doing. Okay, so we're just going to change the chart here because it's an easy chart to manipulate. Okay, is there anything bearish about that chart? ES is down 5 points. Before I even remotely started to smell bearish, right? So that's the 24th right there. I think I'd want to be below 28.12 before I start drinking the Kool-Aid. Calling tops is an expensive and back-breaking business, right? 28.12 has to be broken at minimum from a larger picture standpoint. And even then, you have a large consolidation right through here. That's where you had the island reversal and the failure right there at 2790 to 2800. They backside tested that area. You have to get seriously below this point. Okay, now if you get below that point, I'll grant you, you probably have room to the downside, right? Because this is your next major structure that's untested. all the way down at 27.40, and there'll be plenty of time to get shorts if and when we get down here. My suggestion would be this: determine the level of quality of day trader that you are, how flexible you are in mind of being able to jump to the other side. The guys who I'm coaching one-on-one who are doing best are focusing on long side trades. And my number one performer in the room, who right now is Daniel, who has taken his account up 20, no, actually it's 40, 10, 12, 25% in the past week. Okay. Long side trades only. He's been calling shorts and he says, hey, the market should roll down to X. And he focuses on making sure that he's ready to take his trade at X and looking for his appropriate setups. So I hope that helps. And gosh, I hope I'm not long. No, I'm not. Good. Okay, there we go. So that's my 2 cents. Let's go look at the profile real quick. I hope that helps. Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, you are looking at ES right now. There's the gap down, right? We barely, right before midnight in Asia, punched a low right here. See that? Or why am I not drawing here? Right there. So let's make this easy. I'll open it up. 28.33. If you don't see ES trading below 28.33 this morning, or you see it punch below 28.33 and then pop back up above 28.33, right? I'd be scared to short. Pure and simple. Banks have been driving the S&P. Banks are supportive. For whatever reason, unless you see the XLF getting annihilated, look at the response. I mean, just look at the overall response. Down over 100 on NQ. That's a big drop, right? From the high, right, 28.49 to the low, 28.33, right? So we would have had to at least get 28.29 just to get 20 points. Remember, when things are good, a normal rotation in the S&P is 20 points. That's normal intraday. That's where I'm looking to buy, right? Nothing bad's going on here. I'm trying to do this because I got an overwhelming number of messages from a few people that were like, this is the end of the world, right? This is not the end of the world. I don't think anyone cares about Facebook. My daughter has never been on Facebook. She's 15 years old. They use something called Group Party to, what's it called? Group Party? Group House Party. That's what it's called. They use an app called House Party. All her little friends travel all over the world during the summertime. And every day when I walk in her room, she's on there. There's you can put up to 30 people and they put little picture frames, just like the one right here. Multiply that times, 15 to 30 little 15-year-old girls all chatting with each other and gossiping. And it's called House Party. And that's what they get on every single morning. And they all talk to each other and they all catch up no matter where they are in the world. They don't even care about Facebook, right? So Facebook's just, as far as I'm concerned, it's a nothing. Some people are going to get smoked institutionally because there's a lot of shareholders in it, but who cares? Amazon's a different deal. So moving forward, the way I'm planning to trade this, I hope they punch underneath 28.33. I'm hoping for this morning, what I'm hoping for is just like last night. See how you get this star push down right here? This is the algo, right? This is telling me there's momentum to the downside, right? See, as soon as we close above it, the push up. So that is exactly what I'm looking for today. Is I'm looking for a push, a momentum push at the lows that fails. Notice they just broke the lows off the bottom. It was a good example because Asia was more active than normal, right? They just broke the lows, trapped back in, closed above, right? So we closed above right here, a little backtrack. You can add to your position through here and then push right into VWAP, right? And if you look, that became the gold standard all night long. That became the last attempted momentum push to the downside. If you draw a line across this, notice that each time we closed back above, right, it was Asia, so it's slower into early Europe, a little backtrack, and then a push back up. And that's where we still are right now. Guess what? That line in the sand, that 28.35, is going to become pretty important because notice that they're squeezing people. So at any rate, long story short, I'm watching 28.35, and if you'll notice, oddly enough, we're trading 28.35. Let's go review yesterday really quick. Okay, and what's your upside targets, by the way? Let's go cover that really quick. What's this? This is last night's. By the way, I want to do this really quick. Yes. See concessions. Those are the zones. Oh, I got to mention something on NQ, guys. I almost never don't publish zones in NQ. I couldn't figure out the profile last night, so I didn't put any zones in there. We'll have to figure it out off the algo or the rotations. Okay, there's the zones from last night as they were published, right? Here's Asia. Notice all night long, 28.34.75, right? So there's a hole in the profile. This is a little tricky. The white zone's a hole in the profile. The yellow zone's an anomaly right underneath, okay? And if you look as you push in, right, there's been responsive buyers all the way through here. And what that tells me even more so is even if we push into this, unless we bust 28.31 1/4, right? So the hole, they've been filling in the hole all night, right? And we'll probably have to fill in the hole during the US session. So unless I'm not only below the panic low, but I also have to be able to get below this 28.31. And if you'll notice over here, right, look at all the consolidation we did to the left, right? So if we were to break down and I were want to short, I'd want to push down in here, come back over here where I'd have resistance from the US session. And then I'd start, if I was bearish, which I'm not, then I'd start working to short to the downside. Truthfully, I prefer simply to work the dips down because I'm pretty sure we're going to drive up into Amazon at some point today. And if I'm wrong about that, I'll change my opinion. I'm sidestepping the entire first half hour to 45 minutes to let them work out whatever panic. So note to the guys in the room, if you're waiting for me to key off in the first half hour about the long, if we open up and do this, I miss out, pure and simple, okay? Because I don't want to get whipsawed when everyone's trying to figure out what's going on between Facebook, Amazon, and the rest of the world. So if you need to be long out of the gate, the support is 28.34 to 28.31 1/4. And then you need to figure it out from there based on the algo or whatever other parameters you have. I'll be drinking my coffee and watching, and then I'll look for my setups after the first hour. My win rate after the first hour is much, much higher than my win rate in the first 30 minutes. And I'm just going to lean on that. That's pretty simple. So back to the profile real quick. Let's get rid of this. That was yesterday's. We'll hold on to this. We'll erase all lines. And we will go to the ES. Let's get a clean shot of this. And let's erase all lines. Okay, so looking at this profile from yesterday, the first thing I see, if we have a relatively poor low. Okay, so if we get down here, that would be relatively easy to break, but we got to get there first. You have three key areas in here. The profile's really messy. So in general, just like this profile was really flat on top, this profile is pretty easy to move through. That's the only area of concern. But number one on my list, value area high, 28.34.75. You'll notice we're trading 28.37. We're already driving up even before we get to the open, right? My guess is they're going to take this thing and run it straight up. If I had a bet, and I don't have to bet, but if I had to, they're going to run it up. If we're not holding underneath 28.34.75, there is zero short that you have any chance of getting an extension under. If you're shorting up here, you are praying that they get underneath. There's a clear hole in the profile. See that right there? They're going to want to fill that in. The top of that hole, and then a very large anomaly, and the gap fill, and the top of that anomaly. It's just a sloppy chart, right? They're going to want to fill in that hole. So you got to get above 39.50. You've got to hold above 34.75, which I would give better odds to, right? And then the idea would be that we're going to, my guess is by the end of the day, we're going to drive right back to that 50 is my thought. Now, if we get underneath and we make an impulse move, here's the volume point of control at 28.33.50. Again, it was an awful chart. TPO point of control, 28.27.50. In order to be short, you're going to have to get underneath 28. After you get underneath 28.35, you're going to have to make it underneath 28.27. And then this chart is repaired hypothetically at 28.23, meaning we're looking for the over-under process here. If we establish underneath, get back, it would look like this, okay, from a price action standpoint. We get underneath, we get back above, we backside test and hold that 28.23 and expect to go back at least back to that volume point of control and that value area high. Okay, I don't think we're going to get this opportunity, but that is exactly where I would be looking for. One second here. That is exactly where I'd be looking for. Oops, the opportunities. Let me make sure everything's set and hold on a second. I want to make sure all my DOMs are out of sim and in real time. DOMs. Okay, so that's my 2 cents. If you're really looking for a quick long out of here, if you don't get underneath this 35, 33, we're pushing up. I don't know what else to say. I wouldn't want to be short above that because there's no real resistance above. And then your next targets are already marked off on the zone. 20 up from 37, pitch you at 57, right? If we go back and repair from where we were going to close yesterday and you tack on another 20 on top of that, then you're talking about 48 to 68. So I'd say 68 is about your extreme target, right? And your normal target at 20-point rotation up will put you at 26.58. And so I'd say somewhere, if you were wanting to short an extreme extension, this is about the area I'd be looking in. But guess what? With Amazon's numbers coming out at the end of the day, don't be shocked if they're not just hanging it up right up here. Amazon's launched 2 big rallies off their numbers, and everyone remembers that. So, and as you can see, we've opened on the print. It's only a 30-minute bar, but you can see they responded right off that 35, and they're pushing it straight up. Let me look at NQ and see what it's doing. I don't even have NQ dome up, but I will in a second. NQ is pushing the highs. It's only down 38 points. I mean, it's nothing. I got a feeling they're just going to drive it straight back up. I really do. So that's my 2 cents. So let's go back to what the entries might look like today for a trend day up for guys in the room in particular, because that's important when we start getting this just drive up, and we can't find entries. So let's go through it from yesterday. And we can get rid of this. If we start getting down in here, by the way, your biggest chunk of support, right? Clearly 3 days of points of control and volume points of control, 2807 to 2804. If you're not looking to get long down here, by the way, if we fall apart for some reason today or tomorrow, this is your general area where you want to be looking to get long. We're looking at 1, 2, 3. This is going to get defended. It's a backside test of a break. I'm looking long in this area. There's a hole in the profile right here, and that tends to be a pretty juicy place, 2805 to 2802. It's also right by the round number, psychologically important. I'd want to be long into that. Let's go look at yesterday really quick. Okay. Okay, that's overnight. Okay, all my notes are still on here for today, but don't worry about that. That is so weird. My notes are there, but the lines aren't there. Here, we'll use this one, even better. Okay. Notice already over the overnight VWAP there. Okay, so let's look at yesterday before we launched that ride, right? What I'm looking for, and I did not take it, and I should have, is I'm looking for my last punch to the downside to figure out where I can get long, okay? So notice, here's this is not 24 hours. Let's reset this really quick. Chart settings. It is. Why is this off like this? Let's see here. 2 a.m. Because there's the 2 a.m. jump. Here's the 8:30. Here we go. I know what the problem is. Okay. See this push down right here? Okay. When you're in a bull market, doesn't work everywhere, but see the top of that bar right there? That's the last momentum push down. It took place at 9:42. So we tried to squeeze over. We really couldn't get over here. They tried, right? So if you look, see how we definitively closed above right here? They backside tested, right? And they backside tested this guy right here, right? And they actually tried to push against. This is actually a speed bar showing they actually tried to long liquidate that. They hit the bid pretty good and they couldn't, right? And now look at the push up from there. Not only that, so when you're momentum trading, when you're in a market where we already established we couldn't get any downside rotations, right? So I go through every day to figure out what I could have done better. Okay, so obviously I totally goofed the long yesterday. I just didn't have it, right? I just didn't take my trades as they set up. So I want to show you, push down. I should have been totally long on this, and my stop should have been right below this bar. It was a relatively low risk trade, right? I put my entry, right? I put my entry as high as 28.25 and my stop at 28.21 and a quarter. Worst case scenario, and it got nowhere close, and it offered me a 20-point rip from there, right? If you look additionally, each time we got the push down, this only works. So we're usually looking for this setup off the lows, right? But this only works when you're pushing straight up to the upside, right? Push down. I draw a line across that. I clearly close above, right? So it's not math work, right? We've already done all the hard work. The algo's doing it for us. Long. There's the other push. Next push down. There was only one loss in this entire series, I think. Okay. Long. Again, your stop can go right there. In that case, that was less than a 2-point stop on that particular trade, or exactly a 2-point stop, right? And it still extends. Notice from where you're getting long, right, which would have been, excuse me, I stand corrected, it was 34 to 31, so 3-point stop. You still pushed from 34 and a quarter, you still pushed to 36. Okay, so for those who are new in the room, the whole point behind that is when I'm in this mode and we recognize, and I said out loud, I was agitated with myself. When you say out loud, hey, look, I'm sorry for having that in my face. When you say out loud, look, they can't sell it. We had the whole auto thing news going down, and I said, there's no sellers. They can't push down, and it doesn't click in my brain, hey, get long. That's on me, right? I should have been looking for ways to get long. But if you look all day long, the other thing that you'll notice is we had an inability to close with a red bar behind the momentum pushes up, right? That would have triggered a short. So this pattern took place all day long. I'm looking for this today, right? Now, if you will notice where we finally failed, right, is you will see all the way up here. Okay, last momentum push up took place at 14:59. I want to show you this. And there's probably no way you could have caught it because it went so fast that it was blinding. But hypothetically, from a computer standpoint, there's your first close underneath. There's your stop. That triggered at a close below 28.4550 and rolled you all the way down eventually to 28.32. And you'll notice that it came all the way back and backside tested that 28.4550 as well. So if you'll let the momentum stars are the biggest part of that algo, right? The other information, the speed bars, the volume bars that are in there, are the divergences that the delta provides are all very important. But one of the difficult things is when you start using a algorithm, right, is you actually have to trust what you're looking at. And for someone like me, where I have so many years of experience and I've done most of my work and most of my trading based off my gut and my chart work, right, and going, this should, or it should look like this, or this is what it should come out to, right, to where the computer's just, I've given it parameters, right? I've told in the programming of the process of the program, I said, this is exactly what I am looking for. When this occurs, throw a star on top of it, right? Well, sometimes when that occurs, everything else that I think should be occurring doesn't set up in my mind, right? Or I'll be thinking like, well, we've pushed up so much, surely they're going to rotate it back down, right? That comes back to a belief in, that comes back to it. By the way, we're still driving up, guys. Anyone who shorted the open is still trying to figure out how to get this thing down. Okay. It still comes back to a belief system of, oh, but we've gone up 20 points. Oh, I had another important point. This yesterday is up 25 on the S&P 500. If you were still getting long and trying to push a swing trade beyond plus 25 points, you are in the 1% range. It's the lowest odds you can get of continued extension. And it is not shocking to see a roll down, which is why you'll see me looking for shorts. Had this occurred earlier in the day where we closed below and it wasn't literally at the close, I probably would have taken that short up 20 to 25. I'm pretty comfortable shorting even in a bull market for a 5 to 10 point pullback. Okay, so that being said, this is what we're looking at this morning. This is pre-market. Again, if you'll look, this was our last push, momentum push down right there. Close above 28.37, roll to 28.41. You got to understand why that's important to me, because I have a tight defined entry exit stop, and I can load the daylights out of my position, much more leverage than I normally would be, right? Because I can read this very, very quickly. And what I'll do is I'll start with an initial position, and I'll push that position as it pushes against this area, and my stop's going to be sitting right here. And my win rate, I assure you, is higher than 70% on that, right? By the same token, I don't think there's any reason for this thing not to go to 28.50 and retest that high. That's my thought. And I think guys are going to get run over who shorted this morning. So that's a trade plan for today. We're looking for roll downs. We're looking for pushes to the downside, momentum pushes to the downside, closes above. I will be executing that trade today. I'll take a maximum of 2 stops on that trade. I'll point them out in the room when they're happening. But I expect actually to go right back to where we were yesterday. I knew they were going to drive it, or I had a pretty good idea we were just going to drive right out of the open, but I get smoked too many times in the first 5 minutes, so I had to let it go. Any questions? Am I clear on my trade plan? Okay. If we row together, if we use the tools that are available to us as a group, get on the Slack channel, right? Ralph posts a lot of good stuff. Clint posts a lot of good stuff, right? We row as a team. We point in the same direction. There's no reason to be shorting this morning, guys. We're probably going to end up with trend day up. And it's going to do the same thing it did yesterday. All of that push down was on low volume. And by the way, if you look at the NASDAQ right now, it's down 32 points and at the high of the day. That's not bone crushing. Okay, Facebook's an isolated deal, and I'm glad no one's getting run over. It's my 2 cents. My guess is we'll be up another. My guess is we go positive, we end up 10 to 20 points on the day. It's a guess. That's it. So, and we'll go into this slow grind mode. So it's going to slow down. Everyone's going to look at Facebook and go, oh, Facebook doesn't matter. Everyone's going to look at, who was the last one, Clint, that got crushed? Help me out. It was a couple days ago. Everyone was like, oh, look at that. They missed. And then we went right back up. It was a Friday. Who was it? It was one of the FANG stocks. And they missed, and everyone said it was all over then, and we went straight up then too. So someone will hit me with it here in a minute. If anyone remembers, there was some big FANG stock that missed, and it got rolled, and the NASDAQ and the S&P went up. So we're in a bull market. I'm bullish. Netflix. There you go, Ralph. Everyone had Netflix got crushed, and straight up it ran. So anyways, that's my 2 cents, guys. I don't have anything else to add for the day. Wow, my camera just got pretty blurry there. So anyways, just wait. We'll get a setup somewhere in here. And if we don't lose money shorting. But we should get a, I'm telling you what I'm looking for. I'll highlight, I'll show you. Momentum push down, close above, I'll be long. And you're going to have to convince me that it's short. Like the market's going to have to scream at me, get short, Simon. It's going to say, Simon, you're an idiot for not being short. Look at this. Look how short it is. They can't even rotate it up 2 points. Find a way to get short, right? So there's my first push down, right? So I'm going to have a line right here. So I don't take a trade before 9 o'clock, and I'm not taking it now, but we can certainly watch it. Right, I already said I wasn't trading the first half hour to 45 minutes, and I'm not trading the first half hour to 45 minutes. But now we have our first marker that we can work off of for the day. Okay. Also remember the other part. Going back to the ES chart, let's go back to the clunky old trade station. Right, we have some other tools available to us. Now we know, not only do we have value area high, value area low, we now have top of the 5-minute bar, bottom of the 5-minute bar. Guess what? If you're not below that 5-minute bar, you still don't have a short. You notice that we still haven't erased this whole rip up at the end of the day. That's another marker, 28.31. You got to get below, right? You also have a trend line that hasn't been broken. All simple stuff, right, guys? Trend line needs to be broken to get a downside move. Okay. And so my guess is we're going to do the same thing as we did yesterday. We're going to start to get slow grind, chop. We probably end up with an open auction in NQ. And if we go peek at NQ really quick, it's open auction. That's not open drive lower, and it's held support. See that? That anomaly is still valid there. You got to get underneath that anomaly and below that psychological number of 7,400 to push any lower. And I would say Netflix would have more weight than Facebook just because it's actual. So I don't consider Facebook an actual business, right? Netflix actually is a service provider. There's actual tangible product there. And they blew off Netflix, and it's supposed to be the next great thing ever, right? So, and I just think Facebook's a has-been anyways already. It'll just disappear. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. And someone responded to me with the oddest response last night on Facebook. They said, but they have $50 billion in cash. And my response to that was, well, take $50 billion, divide it by the number of shares outstanding. That's what the company's worth. So, and distribute the cash because, you know, it's a chat room. That's it. That's what it is. That is, they have $50 billion in cash. Congratulations. You rode the wave. You made a lot of money. If it were me, I'd be taking my $50 billion. So MySpace 2.0, exactly. So everyone forgets that crap, and they put all kinds of emotional investment. And then some guy's talking to me about Tesla, right? I said Tesla shorts are dreaming about, you know, Facebook price action tonight. The guy responded, he's clearly short Tesla, and just ranted at me about how Tesla has all this debt, no cash on hand, they're running out of money, and it should be going to zero. And I'm like, well, which one would you rather be short tonight, Facebook or Tesla? You know, it was a pretty simple. Tesla's at the high and Facebook's at the low. So pretty easy formula for me. No, that wasn't Thomas. Thomas would actually be pretty balanced about his response. I know he's bearish on Tesla, but this guy was actually emotional about it. I was like, okay, well, I'm out. I don't have to worry. If we get above 28.4250, expect another leg up on this thing. And the first bar that closes above, oh, wait, you can't see that. Let's get rid of this crap. And let's go look at tick. I'm pretty sure it's positive, but let's go see. There we go. Yeah, positive. No one cares. Okay. Get above 28.4250. We'll roll. I got to step away for a moment. I'll be back in just a couple of seconds. Guys on YouTube, thanks for joining. If you'd like to come visit us in the room, just send me a request for a 5-day pass. Send it to TRADERTOUGH@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to let y'all come in. And in the meantime, we're also looking, don't forget, we're also looking for delta divergences, and anyone who thinks this is short is asking for pain, I think, right now. If that my story changes underneath value area low, I'll reconsider it. Underneath the 28.31, I'll reconsider it. But right now, I don't want any part of any short. Okay, I'll talk to you in a little bit, guys.